our first of many college basketball videos. It's that time of season. I'm getting excited. Today we're doing our first bracketology video. Probably we're gonna do it every couple weeks until March
I'd
Madness.
say so.
We're gonna get like probably at least a good 3 or 4 of these in. So how we're gonna format this is we're gonna go by each of the seeds, who we think is gonna get the 4 spots of each seeds, probably 1 through 8, probably. Or we can do the top 8 seeds. I don't really want to get into the bottom feeders like Oral Roberts or like SDSU or
Dude,
garbage like that.
did you see in one bracketology, North Dakota State's projected on ESPN, they're projected a 13 seed.
I know, bro.
That's insanity.
They're freaking good.
They're good, but I don't think they should be 13.
I mean, the mid majors are really interesting this year. That's the thing, though. Like you got St. Louis and Miami, Ohio, who are just absolutely just out of their minds, and then all the other seeds or all the other mid majors are like non-existent this year, except for like San Francisco, which I mean they're not going anywhere. But that's besides the point. We're gonna predict some of the seeds here, who we think is gonna get the top seeds here. So obviously we're gonna start off with the 1 seeds.
Yeah.
You want to go first? Who your 4 teams are for the 1 seeds at week 13?
I'll start. I mean,
okay.
For me, I think it's just the top 4 for me right now. It's Arizona, Duke, UConn, and Michigan, because those teams have been the best teams in the country so far all season. Me and Jonah were talking before the stream. A little questionable about UConn, considering how close of games they're in their conference, but they're getting the job done. And their only loss was against number 1 Arizona. It was only by 4. They also have another quality win over BYU, who isn't looking fantastic as of late. They've lost 2 in a row. But I think I think all these top 4 teams are without a doubt contenders for the national championship. Arizona, in my opinion, will most likely get the number one overall seed in this tournament. Duke's taking care of business in the ACC. And you look at Michigan's just blowing teams out. They took care of business against their rival Michigan State last night. Their only real close game was against Nebraska. So obviously, as a Nebraska fan, that's pretty hype. But I'm a little bit more biased than I am in like NFL videos. But I definitely think Michigan is the team to beat in the conference. I mean, they haven't lost in the conference yet. So I think they're the team to beat in the Big Ten. And the Big Ten right now, in my opinion, is probably the best conference. I mean, you look at all these bracketology things, they have the most teams. It's them in the ACC or SEC, I think. But they're at the top of college basketball right now.
Yeah, totally. So I'm going to talk about UConn last because I kind of got a hot take for them. I'm still debating whether I put them as a 1 or a 2 seed because I don't like UConn. But my number 1 overall team is Arizona. They're a statistical giant. They're top 20 in offense, top 31 in defense, and KenPom. They got like 3 NBA players on their team. Like they're just really good.
March Madness.
My second overall seed, and this one isn't really a shocker. It's Michigan. Michigan, has blown every team out by 40, including Michigan State, and they just have a really good resume. They played some really good teams already, like Nebraska. Like I think they played Illinois. They played Purdue. I don't know if they played Purdue yet, but I think they played Illinois. So they've beaten a lot of good teams. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
and they're another team that is a statistical giant. So they obviously have Yaxel, who's probably the best player in the country, in my opinion. So now my third number 1 overall seed is Duke. These are the 3 best teams. There's no debate.
Jonah's Blue Devils.
I don't know how I feel about them this year. They definitely lost a lot of talent to the NBA last year.
Yeah,
but
Connor Coop, the future of the NBA right now, man.
You got Cameron Boozer. I love Cameron Boozer. He's pretty freaking good. And Patrick Ngamba, Caleb Foster. Like, you got guys who have been there before. So, I mean, this is not as good as a team as it was last year, but it's still a Final Four team.
Yeah.
Probably. So that brings us to our last seed. Now, I have to think about this a little bit because I really want to put Nebraska here because Nebraska, I'm not
Wow.
gonna. I no, I said I hold on,
Okay.
hold on, hold on. I
Just
really
the
want to
fact
put
that
Nebraska
Nebraska's in the
here.
conversation just makes it amazing for me.
That's true. That's true. But they have a pretty good resume, man. They have only one loss. They've only lost to Michigan. They beat Michigan State. They beat Purdue, or not Purdue. They beat Illinois. They might beat Illinois tomorrow again, but we'll talk about that. So Nebraska's probably on the outside looking in towards the one spot, but for now,
Yep.
I gotta pick UConn. UConn to me is not very impressive at all. Their offense kind of sucks. It's like 40 in Ken Palm, I think, something like that. But their defense is really good. They got a really good coach, and they haven't slipped up yet in their conference. So I have to put them at the one seed because what they're 19-1. So I can't really knock them because they only have one loss. Like, and they've only lost to Arizona too by 4 points. So I'll just say UConn's the last one seed, but I'm probably gonna drop them as the weeks go by, probably because I know they're
Yep.
gonna lose a Big East game at some point. So,
Probably.
all right, who's your two seeds here for
Who are my two
college
seeds? Yeah,
basketball?
I'll
Yeah,
start
let's
here.
hear them. Nebraska's your top two
I
seed.
I'm not gonna say Nebraska is my top two seed. I'm gonna
Okay,
say this is tough. I'm gonna say Iowa State is is my top number two
I
seed.
like it. I like it.
They've been playing it extremely well in the Big 12, which has become a lot better with the additions of Houston and BYU. So, and they've been handling it really well. Um, and I expect them to continue to play very well, have a pretty
Yeah.
good Big 12 tournament. Um, yeah, so I expect them to take the number two there. My next number two seed is going to be probably Michigan State. And Michigan State, they
That's
had
interesting.
they were right there against Nebraska, but they played so bad. They played really bad against Nebraska. They had like 10 turnovers in the second half, and that was a really big X factor in the game. Now, credit to my Huskers, man. They are really freaking good at creating turnovers. And I understand that they didn't play very well against Michigan last night, but Michigan State's going to do very well in the Big Ten tournament, and I expect them uh, to take the two seed in one of these regions. My next two seed is going to be Nebraska because this team is completely different than any other college basketball team I've seen. Man, they were so defensive oriented, man, and I just haven't seen a team that is so emphasized on their defense. The
Mm,
offense is great. You got Price Sanford who can shoot the three really well, better than or he's probably one of the top 3 point shooters in the country, man. He's scored 20 points in the last like 6 games um, in the Big Ten, so that's pretty good. So give me Nebraska as another two seed. And then my next one, I'm going to say Gonzaga because their only loss was 40 points against Michigan. Now, granted, that's a really terrible, ugly loss to look at, but I think that they have rebounded extremely well from that. And I expect them to win their conference, their last year in the conference, actually, because next year they're going to Pac 12. So I think they're going to just be just fine. They're always good until March. So I expect them to take a two seed.
yeah. All right. So not a really surprise. My two seeds are pretty similar to yours. So my number one two seed is Nebraska. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't really high on Nebraska until they played Michigan, and when they played Michigan, they, like you said,
Yeah.
were competing with them till the end. And I mean, if you're competing with Michigan, you deserve to be one at the top of the country. Like they're just really good. It's their season, man. We'll see if they can win a game at their stadium or in March. I don't know when the last
Yeah.
time they won a game in March was, but they're
We're the only Power Four team to never win a March game,
yeah. But
never
I
win a
think it'll
tournament
happen
game.
this year. So
I think it has to happen this year, man.
it'd be embarrassing if you were to lose to like a 14 seed or 15 seed, but
Oh, I'd
I
be so
digress.
ticked off. Dude,
So
I would be like the clown of my school, bro, if that happened.
that's pretty bad. All right, my number two seed is going to be Iowa State. I I don't know. I'm feel up and down with Iowa State. They obviously had that really bad loss to Cincinnati, but honestly, at times I think they're in the same tier as Arizona, Michigan, and Duke, just because they have so much talent on their team. They have Joshua Jefferson, they got Milan Musovic, they got Taman Lipsey. Like their team is really freaking good, and they're playing in the Big 12, which is the toughest conference in college basketball. You can't even discuss me on that one. So
Yeah.
I really like the Cyclones. Honestly, I could see them winning it all this year. They're probably one of
Yeah,
five
they've
teams I think could win it all. So they're really good. All right, now's time for a little bit of controversy here. This is the only thing I'm going to be a little bit different about. I'm going to have Houston as your third two seed.
okay.
Now, I know I get that they're number 10 in the poll right now, but their only loss, hold on. Their only loss was to Tennessee, which I don't know. That's a pretty bad loss. And their only other loss was to Texas Tech. And they split with Texas Tech. So, I mean, you can't beating Texas Tech tough or twice is really tough in my
Yeah,
opinion.
they're a really good team.
Texas Tech is really good. You also play in the Big 12, which is really, really tough, the toughest conference in basketball. So just the fact that they play in the Big 12 and just the fact that they beat everybody except for Texas Tech, which they split against Texas Tech, so it's not really that big of a loss. I'm just going to say they're a two seed because you earn my respect for playing in the Big 12 period. So it'll be interesting to see what they do in March. They've obviously been super close for like what the past 5 years practically.
Yeah, they've been right there.
They've been right there. I don't know if they'll get the job done this year, but they got a chance. Now, for my last two seed, I don't know how I feel about this one, but I'm just gonna say Gonzaga is the last two seed. They're the sixth team in the AP poll. They're pretty good. They got Braden Huff, they got Graham Icky, they got they got Grant Foster. Like they're one of the best rebounding teams in the country. But my knock on them is that they did lose to Michigan by 40, and
Yep.
Michigan is like what only 3 spots ahead of or 2 spots ahead of Gonzaga or 3 spots ahead of Gonzaga, and so they're kind of in the same tier right now. And I would not necessarily put Gonzaga or Michigan even close in the same tier at the moment,
Yeah.
but nonetheless, they're a two seed for now. If they lose to St. Mary's, which is the only good team in their conference, I definitely might have to consider bumping them down to like a three, maybe even a
Yep.
4 seed. But for now, they're my two just because they got the best front court in college basketball. So,
Yeah, I agree.
all right.
All right.
Who-
Three seeds here.
Yep. 3 seed
Okay.
time.
I can start with this one. Number one
Got it.
seed for three. I'm taking Houston for everything that you said. I can easily see them jumping up if one of the lower two seeds start dropping games. Um,
Yep.
Houston's a really good team. They were right. They were so close last year. Um, Made it to the final four, obviously. So they're a really good team, and I expect them to do a lot um, come March. Uh, Next team, I'm gonna say is Illinois. They're a really good team in the Big Ten. I expect them to make it to the semifinals at least of the Big Ten tournament because they've been taking care of all their teams that they need to. Uh, their only conference loss is Nebraska, who they get a rematch tomorrow. Their other two losses are against really good teams um, that were out of conference. So I definitely think they'll have a good little stretch going into March. Hopefully they don't beat Nebraska tomorrow, but I definitely think they'll be a three seed. Then I have Florida. The defending national champions have been playing
Mm,
very
that's
well as of late.
that's really
Um,
interesting. They're 19 right now.
yeah, they got a 6-2 conference record, so they've been playing very well in the SEC. The SEC right now is kind of open. I mean, there's only a few good, like really good teams. So I think they're going to play well enough, and I think that they're going to get pretty far in this SEC tournament. Um, and yeah, I think they'll be a 3 seed. They're projected a 3 seed right now on ESPN.
Mm,
So I think there's a right now. I think they'll be a 3 seed. So now my
okay.
last 3 seed is going to go to the Kansas Jayhawks out of the Big 12. They beat BYU today, but my only concern for them is can they close? Can they just end games? They were up by like 30 today, and they won by like 8. There was a time where they were up by 4 with a minute left. So, and they were at home. You can't really do that against good teams because if you're playing better teams than BYU, which no diss to BYU, I think they're a good team. They're just not all there yet. Um, you're not gonna you can't blow leads like that, especially in March. Um, they gotta just lock in and play consistent. They're 5-2 in the conference. They've lost 5 games overall, um, but I think they're gonna do pretty well. The rest of the regular season at least, and I think they'll snag a 3 seed.
Yeah. So our 3 seeds, once again, not much really is different for the 3 seeds. I mean, it's pretty straightforward for these top few teams here. I feel like there's going to be a lot of shifting still, but nonetheless, these are some of the best teams still. And so my first team is going to be Michigan State. Jack had them as a 2 seed. I have them as a 3 seed strictly because they're just a
Hmm.
terrible offensive team. Their
Yeah,
offense kind of sucks.
you never really know what you're gonna get with them.
They can't shoot the ball still, which has been like a problem for like I don't know how many years, but this team is definitely not as good as what people think. They're overrated, in my opinion. They have an athletic freak in Colin Carr. They have Jeremy Fears, who's the best defender in the country for point guard, but I'm just not sold on him. So, I mean, I could see him being like the last 1 seed. I mean, if they were on the table and win the Big Ten, but I'm just not sold on them. I mean, they lost to Michigan, so which was is the only team that is better than them in their conference besides Nebraska. And so my second 1 seed, I am gonna go ahead and keep it in the Big Ten, say Illinois. Illinois, in my opinion, is the exact opposite of Michigan State. Their offense is really good. They have like a top. They're like
Yeah,
number two
they're
in the country in
yeah,
offense.
they got a good offense over
Their
there. Yeah,
freshman, they had a freshman who scored like 40 plus the other day.
46. Yeah,
But their defense is really bad. I cannot stand their defense. Their defense needs to improve if they want to win a championship. And I mean, if they win Nebraska, they'll jump up my rankings. If they lose, I think they'll jump down. So I think you could put them at a 2 or 4 seed, but 3 seed, I'm just going to meet it in the middle and say that's a
yep,
pretty fair spot for Illinois. And so moving on for my third 3 seed, let me look here. I am going to go ahead and say I'm going to go ahead and say Tech is my third 3 seed. I think that I mean they're just a really solid team, but they're not
yep,
an elite team. They got JT Toppin, one of the best scorers in the country. He's been in college basketball for a while now, but they're just really good. They're going to be tough to beat in March. I mean, they beat Houston already, and they've beaten a lot of teams already in the Big 12 too. That I mean are ranked. So giving them a ton of credit just because they play in the Big 12, and that's just a really hard conference to play in. So I can see them being a 2 seed, but for now they're my 3. And for my last 3 seed, we can both agree on this one. It's the Kansas Jayhawks.
yep.
It was between BYU and Kansas for the last 3 seed. I think Kansas right now is a 3 seed with how they performed against BYU. I'm not gonna lie, they've had some pretty bad losses,
Yeah,
but they also had a really good win against BYU today, and they also play in the Big 12. So I mean that's that. And once if they have Darren Peterson, man,
He's a stud, bro.
I mean, he's the number one overall pick right now. So if they have him, they're easily a top 10 team. I have them as the 12th best team. No, wait, hold on. Yeah, 12th best team right now. So Kansas is my last 3 seed.
Okay. All right, I'll start with the 4 seeds here. I'll go my number 1 4 seed, I'm gonna say is Texas Tech.
Mm,
Obviously, they had that really good win against, Houston. Their only loss in the conference was Houston, and they did pretty well outside of the Big 12. They only lost 3 games outside the Big 12, which obviously you don't wanna lose 3 games, but still, you're playing in the Big 12, you're gonna get really good competition, so you wanna get some practice for it. So, I think Texas Tech's a really good underrated team to look at. I mean, the 4 seed for them, they're ranked like 11th, I think, right now in the country. Um, Potentially an overlooked team, and I think potentially they could make some noise. So there's my first 4 seed. Where's the other one at? My next one is going to be Vanderbilt. And Vanderbilt, they've had a pretty good season. Now, my only concern for them right now is they're not playing very well in their conference. They didn't lose um, until SEC play started. They're 5-3 in the conference. Been struggling a little bit. They fell down in the rankings quite a bit. I think they were 10. Now they're like 18 or something. Um, but I think maybe they can keep going, but I wouldn't be surprised within the next week or two if they drop quite a bit in my predictions. So there's the next one. And my other one, my next 4 seed is going to be BYU. They've had some pretty close games with their last 2 games. Obviously, my biggest issue with BYU is they cannot start a game to save their lives. Uh, Arizona, they were down by like 20. Uh, Today against Kansas, they were down by like 30 um, ish or something like that. Um, but yeah, I don't know what to think of BYU because they're winning games, but they're really not beating great teams. They're 5-2 in the
mm,
conference. Um, Obviously, 2 of those coming within the last like 5 or 6 days. So they've played very well up to this point. So I'm interested to see how well they do against the better teams in the Big 12. So yeah, there's my spiel on BYU. Um, but man, this is tough. My next team for the 4 seed, I'm just gonna go ahead and say St. John's.
wow.
There's
They're for 25. What? Wow.
okay, but hear me out. Hear me out.
Wow.
Hear me out.
Over Purdue? Over North
Yeah, I don't think
Carolina?
Purdue's any good, bro.
Over North
I don't think
Carolina?
Purdue's any good. I don't know what I've
Over
seen from North
Arkansas?
Carolina yet, bro.
Over Arkansas?
Arkansas played horrific today. They had
So,
a horrific game.
but we're saying Florida's a 3 seed
Okay,
just because
let's
they're
hear me
6
out.
and
Hear me
2
out.
in
Hear me
the
out. Hear me out. Hear
SEC,
me out.
but
Hear me out. Hear
we're
me out.
saying
Hear me out.
Arkansas is not better than St. John's?
Hear me out. Hear me out. Hear me out.
Ugh,
Hear me out for a second. Hear me out for a
ugh,
second.
guy.
Okay. St. John's is 9-1 in the conference. Uh, they have played very well in the conference. They have not played well outside of conference. Um, I'm going to be honest. The Big East is not as good as it really once was. Now, no discredit to the Big East, but I mean, we've seen better Big Easts, and I think St. John's is going to get back on it and get going. Coach Patino is going to get them dialed in, and I think St. John's going to take the last 4 seed because I think they're going to have a pretty good Big East tournament.
Oh, guy.
Arkansas played absolutely horrific today, bro. They played so bad against Kentucky. They had a terrible game.
I mean, if you have Florida as a 3 seed, though, I feel like you kinda have to have Arkansas high too. I
I
don't
just
know
don't
how I
like
feel.
Arkansas. I don't like
I don't know
Arkansas
how I
right
feel
now.
about that one, but all right. I guess controversy has already started, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey man, it's
So
March. Welcome to controversy season, bro. It's March. You can say whatever you want in March.
I guess that's fair. All right. So for my four seeds to kick it off, I'm gonna say BYU. They lost to Kansas, and it's kind of similar to Jack. They played terrible in the first half. They're the opposite of the Arizona Cardinals. They play really good in the second half, but they play
Yep.
really bad in the first half.
Yep.
Um, but once again, they play in the toughest conference in basketball. I'm going to say it a million times. The Big 12, the college basketball runs through the Big 12, so it just does. So BYU still really good. They got Richie Saunders. They got AJ DeBonza. They're they could go up. They could go down. If they were to have beaten Kansas today, I would have said that they were a 3 seed. But I'm just putting them at the 4 slot under Kansas, so that's where I have them at the moment. Now moving on to my 4 seed, I got Florida. Like you said, Florida is 6-2 in their conference so far. They're the second best team statistically in their conference, I think, behind A&M, which A&M is still not ranked yet. I don't know how A&M is so good, but Florida, they've they've lost a lot of out of conference games, but in conference they've been really good, and they're also a really good team at rebounding, similar to Gonzaga. They got Alex Condon and Thomas Hawk. So Florida, if they can just get some good guard play, they'll be as good as ever in the championship. So heading into March. So for my third 4 seed, since I have Florida high, I'm going to pick Arkansas. Arkansas always plays every single team tough. They're just really good.
Except
They
today.
lost.
Except
They
today.
lost. I mean,
That was
but
embarrassing. I was watching that game, bro. No passion. No passion from the Razorbacks. None.
I guess,
They got outplayed by a mediocre Kentucky team.
but just I just think that Arkansas, man, they lost at Michigan State by 3. They lost to Duke and Houston by both 10, respectively, around there. So Arkansas has played one of the harder schedules in college basketball, and they've competed. So I really like what Arkansas's got going for them. Now, moving on to my last 4 seed, I'm going to go ahead and say this one's tough, but I'm going to say it's Purdue. Now, I'm not confident in saying Purdue's the 4 seed because they're playing like a 10 seed right now, let's be honest. But
It's so
Purdue
bad.
has the best offense in the country. Their offense is unstoppable. They got Trey Kaufman around Braden Smith and Oscar Clough. Their offense is really good. Where I have issues is their defense, though. Their defense is going to be the reason what loses them a title this year. Going into this year, I thought Purdue was by far the favorite to win it all, but they're not looking great right now. So I still think that they've only had what 3 losses, so I can't really diss them for only having 3 losses. Like
They've lost like 3 in a row, though.
that's fair, but I
Yeah,
mean
seven and
they're
three in the
still
Big Ten.
they're still the best offensive team in the country, so I can't really hate on that for them. So Purdue's still really good, but they just need to get their defense fixed if they want to win anything. Or if they don't, then they'll probably blow a first round exit like what they did a few years ago. So
Yeah.
that's my 4 seeds.
Kev, since I started with the first four, do you want to start with the last four?
Start with the last 4. All right, hold on. These I'm looking at the AP poll and these aren't in order with my picks, so I'm still trying to figure out what teams I haven't mentioned yet. Hold on. So I mentioned.
Holy belt. UConn's beating Creighton by 30.
All right. So to kick it off with the 4 seeds. Now, these are the teams, in my opinion, that are probably have a chances at winning their region, but they can't really win it all, in my opinion. But nonetheless, there are still some really talented teams, and we're gonna start it off with the ACC. We're gonna start it off with UNC. Now
Okay.
UNC
Okay.
is my first 5 seed. They haven't played a really hard schedule yet like Duke. I think they lost to Michigan State, but they beat Virginia, so they haven't had a ton of ranked matchups yet, but they'll get there. They'll still have to play Louisville. They still have to play Duke. So I don't know what I really expect from them because they got Caleb Wilson, who's really good, but other than that, they don't really have a ton of just straight talent on their roster besides Caleb Wilson. So and and for KenPom, as far as KenPom goes, they're kind of middle of the pack for KenPom. They're like 30 in both, I think. So not bad, but now moving on to my second 5 seed. If I'm mentioning UNC, I got to mention Virginia because they were practically almost went to overtime like a week ago. They battled
Yeah.
neck and neck, and I think they're like pretty identical. Virginia, I'm not gonna lie, Virginia is a really might be a sleeper to win it this year. Not to win it, but to make the Final Four this
Yeah,
year.
I think
Virginia's
yeah, I agree.
They have a lot of transfers. They got Jakari White from NDSU. They got a ton of experience on their team. Like they're just one of the older teams, but most experienced teams in college basketball. So, I mean, it'll be interesting because Virginia hasn't really been good since like 2018. That was when they
Yeah.
played Texas Tech in the Final Four. So, I don't know, but we'll see. So, moving on to my 5-3 seed or to my 5 seed that's third. And this is where it might get interesting, but I'm gonna say Alabama gets it. Now, Alabama, we know their defense is horrific. They're like 50th in KenPom in defense. Their defense is always
Yeah.
bad every single year. I don't know how Nate Oates hasn't got that defense fixed. It's probably been a problem for God knows how long, but Alabama still has a good offense. They still are one of the best teams in the SEC. They've had some bad losses. They've had some good wins. They're 13-6 though, which really concerns me. Which is like they're like the only team to have 6 losses on the top 25 poll. So I mean, they're still really up there in the SEC though. So I got to give them props for that. Now moving on to my 5-4 to my so 5-4. I got Clemson. This is I've literally had what UNC, Virginia, like all these teams from the ACC have been 5 seeds, and I think it's only fair to have Clemson in there too. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I haven't really paid much attention to Clemson season. I don't think they've really played anybody worthy yet. I don't think they've played UNC. I don't think they've played Virginia. But I mean, they're just doing their thing, man. They're just always kind of like a 5 seed, just in general in college basketball, in my
Yeah.
opinion. They're always an underrated team. So,
Except last year.
oh, that was embarrassing. I
That
had them in
was
the Final Four,
I
bro,
had
last
them in the
year.
Elite Eight. It was so bad.
So I'm not picking them this year, March Madness.
Yeah, definitely
But
not.
I mean, if they're a 5 seed too, that's probably a little bit of bad luck. So who knows? We'll see. But Clemson for now, they're a top 4 team in the ACC. They're better than Louisville. So if you're top 4 in the ACC, you're one of the top 20 teams, in my opinion, in college basketball. So that's Clemson's my 5-4.
Okay. So yeah, my first five seed's gonna be Purdue. Um I know Jonah had 'em at what, like a 3 seed, something like that.
Mm,
I just
I had
don't
them at 4, but
I don't
yeah.
think they're that good, honestly. If I'm being completely honest. Yeah, they got a good offense. That's great. But they lost to UCLA. They've lost 3 games in a row. They lost to UCLA, they lost to Illinois, and they lost to Indiana. That's
Mm.
really bad. That's really, really bad. Um, and in 2 of those losses, they didn't score over 70. So there's that. Now tomorrow they have a game at Maryland, who's kind of an underrated team if you kind of look at them. They're a little bit of a sleeper team. Then you got a lightweight game against Oregon, which it should be easy work. And then you got a big 3 big games in a row. You got Nebraska, Iowa, and Michigan. Those 3 games are going to be really, really important for Purdue.
Yeah.
They have to win probably 2 out of 3. I think they should beat Iowa, but they really got to beat one of those other 2 teams if they want to be considered legit. That if they lose to both Nebraska and Michigan, I'm going to drop them all the way down. I don't trust them now, and especially if they lose 2 games like that, I can't put any trust in them.
Yep.
Moving on to the
So
next one. What's up?
never mind. Never mind.
Okay, okay. Next one, I'm going to go Virginia. Really underrated team, like you said. Had a good win against Boston College today. Their bench is really good for some reason. They scored 28 bench points today, um, which is pretty good. So obviously they're in contention for the ACC title. Could possibly go on a run. Um, and yeah, I really like Virginia. So my next 5 is going to be Bama. Bama is weird. They've always been weird. They're 4-3 in the SEC, which is not really good. I understand the SEC is just a really tough conference, but still, if you want to be legit, you got to be the best in your conference. And to me, right now, it doesn't seem like they're the best in their conference. Um, they really can't. I haven't really seen them win like a big game on the road, and sometimes they can't even win at home. They're 14-6, which is not really good right now. So they're kind of an interesting team to look at. Um, and then I'm gonna go. It's tough. Yeah, I'm gonna say UNC. I'll go with you and say UNC on this next one, because ACC they're 4-3 in the conference. They lost one out of conference game, so they're kind of having a weird little dip, but they still have what? Do they have they haven't even played Duke yet, have they? Or have they not?
Who has
Has
UNC?
UNC played Duke yet?
No, they play them in like
Yeah.
3 weeks.
Okay. So yeah, I think those will be kind of important games for them to see where they are on the spectrum, I guess, for legitness. But oh yeah, they do. They play next Saturday. I just saw that on the TV. But yeah, I think they're an interesting team to look at. I mean, obviously they got that freshman. I can't remember his name, but he's an absolute
Caleb Wilson.
stud. Yeah, Wilson. He's an absolute dog. Yeah, he got 25 points today. That's pretty dang good. So I think if he can continue to perform, I think this UNC team can make some noise as well.
Yeah. All right. We're over halfway done. Moving on
Yeah,
to our 6 seeds, where this is kind of the teams that you kind of need the bracket right for them to go on a run. So for my first 6 seed, I don't know where you had this team, but it was really high. I have Vanderbilt as my 6-1. Crazy enough,
Vandy. I
not
had him
mentioned
at I
them.
had him at 4.
You've had them at 4.
Yeah,
I have them at my 6 because
they've been sliding low key.
they've played 3 ranked games, all in conference. They've played Bama, they've played Arkansas, and they've played Florida. They've lost 2
Yep.
out of those 3 games. So they're 1-2 in ranked games. So if you're 1-2 in ranked games, that's kind of bad to be on the poll. And they also lost to Texas, and Texas is a bubble team. They're not. I mean, I don't know if they're a bubble team, but they're kind of on the bubble at the moment. So Vanderbilt, although they're 14-15 on the offensive defensive KenPom rankings, I just don't think they're that good. They don't really have a resume or a pedigree of having success in the past. I mean, this is what their first year in what? How many years making the tournament in March Madness? I just don't think they're that good.
Yeah, it's yeah.
Maybe they'll change my opinion, but they haven't beaten the 2 better teams in the SEC, which is Arkansas and Florida yet. So that's why I'm dissing them so much. All right, moving on to my 6-2. There's not a lot of teams here on the top 25 poll, so I'm just gonna go ahead and say St. John's. Now, I was kind of shocked you put them what at 3. You had them as a 3.
I had him at 4.
You had them at 4. I was kind of
Yeah.
shocked you had them at 4. I have them at 6. They're they're just all right. They're nothing special. They're 9-1 in the Big East, but they've lost a lot of out of conference games. They've lost like 4 out of conference games, all to better teams, and all these other teams that they lost to are ranked too. So, do they deserve to be ranked? Probably, but they're just not nearly as good as what they were a year ago.
Yeah, I agree on that.
And they lost to Arkansas in the second round a year ago too. So
Dude, I had him in the Final Four last year, bro.
might have some trust issues with them. So
Yeah.
all right, moving on to my 6-3. Now this is gonna be the first team that is off the top 25 poll. So we're starting to get to that territory here. I have the Iowa Hawkeyes. Now
Iowa,
this
okay.
yeah, they're top 25
Okay.
on the coaches poll, but they're not top 25 on the AP poll. So, but the main reason why I have Iowa on as my 6-3 is that they've for one competed neck to neck with Iowa State and only lost by 4 points, and I think Iowa State can win a title this year. And for number two, they barely lost to Illinois and they barely lost to Purdue. So they've had a really tough schedule and they've stood pretty tall in all those tasks that they had to face. So Iowa to me is a very, very underrated team. They got Bennett Sturrs, who is just is one of the oldest players in college basketball. It seems like, but Bennett Sturrs is really
He's a stud. I'll give him
Bennett
that.
Sturrs is
He's a
really good.
stud. Shout out
I can
Evan.
let me pull up their Ken Palm rankings. Iowa. So Iowa is has a really bad offense, but
Yeah,
their
they
defense is really good. So that's I don't know what to think, but their defense is 17 in Ken Palm rankings. So I like Iowa. I really do. I think they can go on a run. So like I said, that Iowa State game, that has to mean something. If you can compete with Iowa State, you earn my respect because Iowa State is a really good team, in my opinion. So now we get into the fun part. We got the first mid major team as my last 6-4, and it's Miami, Ohio. Now, Miami, Ohio has yet to lose a game.
they're projected an
Granted,
11 seed right now. Did you know that?
are you? I mean, I guess
Miami, Ohio is projecting 11 right now.
I guess that's fair, but they're on the top 25 poll. So, I mean, they haven't lost a game. They're one of what two teams in the country that have yet to lose a game. I mean, they play in the I don't even know what conference they play in, but
Are they in the MAC?
I think they're in a MAC.
Yeah, they're in the
Anyways,
MAC.
they're undefeated. So if you're one of two teams to be undefeated, you deserve to make today's video. So as the top 8 teams or top 8 seeds. So
Yep.
Miami, Ohio, even though they're very unlikely to get a 6 seed in the real bracket because the brackets just loves to put Big 12 and Big 10 teams, etc., in there and
Yep.
no mid majors. I think Miami, Ohio is still really good. So shout out them. You haven't lost a game. I don't know if they'll lose a game in the regular season. So they're good.
Yeah. So my top 6 seed is gonna go to Clemson. Um, very underrated team, 7-1 in the ACC. They're 17 and
Mm.
4. Very overlooked team. I don't really know who they've played though. So I'd obviously have to look at that. But I definitely think that they can compete for the ACC title. Um, Obviously, you just have to look at the teams like Duke, UNC, Virginia. Those are the top three for me personally right now. And then you have
Yep.
Clemson. Clemson could easily move their way up, but they can also easily move their way down. I don't know what to expect from them. Last year, they lost to McNeese in the first round. You cannot do that. Okay. I'm sorry. You just can't. It was terrible. I was so upset. I was watching it during tennis practice, and frick, I was ticked off. So Clemson, my number one 6 seed. Next, I have Arkansas. Obviously, Arkansas. I was kind of high on Arkansas actually coming into this season. They had that really good win against St. John's in March. last year. But obviously, today's game, you look at a team like Kentucky, who, in my opinion, is not really good. They've lost some really bad games. They're Kentucky's 14-7. Arkansas 16-5. Now they're 6-2 in the conference, um, but you can't be losing to the middle of the pack teams. Now I definitely think Arkansas can move their way up, but I don't know how they're going to be able to do that, especially in such a weird SEC conference. Now, I can definitely see them moving their way up because the conference is so open right now, but there's a lot of questions for me for Arkansas right now. So that leads me to my next um, sixth seed, which is going to be where are they at? Tennessee. Tennessee Volunteers, 4-3 in the SEC. I'm watching their game right now. They're beating Auburn by 9. Auburn's just so weird, or Tennessee's so weird because they take weird dips and then they go up high and then they take another dip again and then they're even for a little bit. So another interesting team to look at. Obviously, in such a wide open conference like the SEC, I don't know what to expect. So I think they're going to be all right. Um, and I think they'll probably be middle of the pack area, 6 through 8 seed is my guess for the Volunteers. And then I was kind of on the fence about this one, but now I think I'm going to change it up. I'm going to go SMU for my last 6 seed. 4-3 in the ACC, 15-5 overall. Currently, they're projected a 7 on ESPN, but they have given the best teams in their conference a run for their money. They got pretty close against Duke there for a little bit, and I think they're definitely a team to look out for. They've played pretty solid. Um, Not as of late, but they've played when they play well, they play well. So I'll give them that. So I'll give them that. So I think SMU can have a pretty good tournament in the ACC and work their way to a 6 seed come NCAA tournament time. Yep. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. Texas is projected 11 right now. They're 3-5 in the SEC right now. They're not very good in their conference. They did beat Bama though. I do remember watching that with you. Yeah. Okay. Before I go, where'd you go, bro? I can't see you. Are you in your chair right now? Dude, your screen was like completely froze, bro. I cannot. I. All I see is your chair. I just don't see you in there. Okay. Oh, I gotcha. That might be it.
All right.
All right, you're
Viewers are
moving
probably
now.
thinking a ghost was there for a second.
Ghost was talking. Yeah.
All
All
right.
right. Yeah.
Is this
There you go.
better?
There. Yeah.
What?
I can see you now.
You can see me now? Okay.
Yep. Okay. My number 1 7 seed. Um, yeah, I'll agree with you, and I'm gonna go with Louisville. I mean, they can't beat a ranked team to save their life. But
It's
they
fair.
they're playing solid enough. They're kind of on trajectory going down right now. Um, I don't know what to expect from them because they could either just go crazy or they could just do absolutely nothing. So they're an interesting team for me to look at.
Yep.
Um, I would be looking out if I was Louisville for potential first round upset, um, depending on who they're playing, I guess. But I think they're an interesting team to look at um, come March. My next team might surprise you a little bit. I'm going to go with Villanova. Villanova is 6-3
What?
in their conference. They're 15-5. Um,
What?
and they haven't been playing terrible as of late. Their conference is not great either. So I think they can rack up some more conference wins. Uh, on ESPN, they're also projected as 7. Um, and yeah, I think they can make some noise in their conference, go on a little run there. Um, And let's not forget Villanova's like winning natties like what was that, 8 years ago? Something like that? 10 years
Yeah.
ago? Yeah.
Yep.
So they got a history. They got a good history. So good history doesn't just go away just like that. So I definitely think they got a good chance. My next one, I'm gonna go with Auburn. Auburn Tigers. They are middle of the pack SEC, but guess what? The entire SEC is the middle of the pack. And they're on the trajectory up. They've had some good wins as of late. They're down to Tennessee right now, but they're 5-3 in the SEC, which is actually one of the better records in the conference. So they've been playing pretty well. So I think they're an interesting team to look at. Let's not forget
Um,
Final Four last year. Let's not forget that. I mean, that seems to be like a commonly mistaken thing. Like we just forget that these teams were here last year. So I think they're another team to look at. Um, and so you had an out of the blue kind of pick with Miami as as a 6 seed. I'm gonna kind of go. This might be a little crazy, okay? But for my
Miami is a
last
six
seven
seed. You
seed,
meant Iowa. You meant Iowa.
oh yeah, I meant Iowa. You're right. You're
Yeah.
right. You're right. I'm gonna be a little crazy here. I'm gonna go with a Big Ten team, but it's not Iowa. It's the Wisconsin Badgers. Wisconsin
Okay,
has
I
been on
like
an
that. I
absolute
like that. That's
tear
valid. That's
as of
valid. I
late.
like that.
They dropped 92 today against Ohio State, which Ohio State's not very good, but 92 in college, that's pretty impressive. They're
Only team to
seven
beat
and
Michigan
three,
too.
and they're the only team to beat Michigan, and they beat them on the road, which that's got to mean something too. They're 15-6, which is pretty good. They're 7-3 in the Big Ten, which is a really hard conference right now. So they're starting to figure it out. They had a little bit of a slow start the year, but I think they're a team to look at. They're projected at 10 right now, which I don't really like. Now, granted, they haven't, other than the Michigan game, they haven't done a ton, but they're winning games consistently now, and they're beating the teams that they need to beat. Um, so yeah, I think Wisconsin's definitely an interesting team to look at.
Yep. All right, moving on. We got our 8 seeds.
The 8 seeds now.
So before we wrap up the video, probably I'm gonna give some honorable mentions for teams that just missed our list that are or my list that are probably 9 or 10 seeds, and I'm gonna start with saying Georgia. Now Georgia, they're getting a lot of votes for the top 25 poll, but I don't know why. They've lost their last 3 games, and they've just absolutely sucked lately. I'm not gonna lie. Georgia's been pathetic, but I mean, they had a really good resume towards the beginning of the season, so we will see what happens there. My second honorable mention is I'm going to actually give an honorable mention to Wisconsin.
Okay.
You had
Yeah.
them as their 7. I just have them just missing out of the list. They're the only team
Yeah,
to beat Michigan,
that's
but
fine. Yeah.
their Ken Palm rankings are just not all there. They're
Ooh,
just not.
okay.
Ken Palm rankings are just not
Yeah.
there. So
Yeah.
moving on, we got the teams that barely made the cut, in my opinion. We're going to start it off with NC State. NC State hasn't really played anybody good, but they've just been consistently winning games. They haven't won all their games, but they've been winning games. And so NC State to me is one of the biggest sleepers in the tournament because they have the resume being in the Final Four 2 years ago, and NC State is just always seems to be a sleeper for all these years. So they're used to being the underdogs in the
TJ
ACC
Burns.
tournament. They don't have DJ Burns, but they're still very underrated. Next up, we got Auburn. Auburn, they're 5-3 in their conference, like you said. They might beat Tennessee, they might not. I don't know what the score is.
Yeah,
You
down
got to
by
pull it up
6 with
though.
49-55 with 9.5 left. So close game.
So they've they've been really weird. I'm not gonna lie. They've struggled at the beginning of the season, but they got it together, Auburn, and they are they have the 10th best offense in the country. So Auburn, I really like Auburn. They're just hated on for no reason.
Yeah.
So our second my second to last 8 seed, I'm gonna go ahead and say Utah State. Now
Okay.
Utah State has had probably the best season they've ever had in their program. I mean, they've just kicked butt in the Mountain West, and I think they're moving to the Pac-12 next year too. So
Yep,
that's
they are.
something. And Utah State is 30th in Ken Palm, so they're really good.
Do
They
you know where they're
were
projected? Utah State, do you know where they're projected to be at?
well, I have no idea what
I'm
is
looking right now. I can't see them on here. Am I just missing them?
Utah State. They're
I
getting votes
gotta
in the
be.
top 25 poll.
Okay. I
So
probably just tweaking out.
Anyways, my third and final team, or my last team is I got to mention the Texas A&M Aggies. They're the best team in the SEC right now. They've only lost like one game in the SEC. They haven't really played anybody good, but I mean,
Just like the
they don't.
football team.
Yeah, they don't play anybody good, but they haven't really lost in the SEC, and I don't know how they're not ranked for rolling the SEC so far. So I think let me I gotta pull up their schedule because I don't freaking know who they played. I'm curious to see
Yeah,
who they played.
they're 16-4. Three of the losses came out of conference. So 6-1 in the SEC right now. I mean,
A&M, let's see. Who have they played? Okay, so they played Texas Southern, Northwestern State, Montana, Manhattan. Okay, so far this year, they beat Georgia,
who'd they lose to though?
they beat Auburn, and they lost to Tennessee. They beat Auburn, they
Okay,
beat Georgia,
okay.
and they lost to Tennessee. But here's the kicker: they play Alabama and they play Florida this week.
Okay, so
So
we'll find out a lot about A&M this week then.
we'll find a lot about A&M.
Yep.
Uh, I if they beat both these teams, I could see them being like I'm not even kidding you, like 15 in the AP poll if they beat both these
Yeah.
teams. So they have potential to make one of the biggest jumps in the AP poll we've ever seen in history. So we'll see on them. I'm curious to see. They're 32 in Ken Palm too, so they're pretty similar on both offense and defense. So that's that.
Hmm. Yeah. I'm trying to think of what order I want to go in here. Okay, I'm going to start off with Texas A&M. I mean, number one in the SEC right now, and they're not ranked. Kind of a joke, but oh, there it is. Utah State's projected at 9. They're projected to play A&M right now. But
Oh,
that'd be an interesting game.
that'd be a
That would be a
great game.
very interesting game. Very interesting game. But yeah, A&M for all the things that you said, but still a lot of questions. They beat a solid team in Tennessee, but still questions. But like we said, we'll find out a lot about the Aggies this week. Next 8 seed, I'm gonna go St. Mary's. St. Mary's is usually right here every single year.
Yeah, yeah,
They're always an 8 or a 9 seed, which is kind of rough because then they have to go play a 1 seed. But 19-3, 8-1 overall in the conference. They got a big game against the Zags tonight. So we'll see how that goes. They usually split a lot of the time, but um, we'll see if they're legit or not. Then I'm gonna go with the Iowa Hawkeyes. They are kind of an underrated team, but they're 5-4 in the Big Ten. Haven't really beaten a good team yet. They're kind of like they're almost a spitting image of their football team. This football season they were a couple plays away from making the playoffs. Man, they almost beat Indiana. They almost beat Oregon. But they've had these close games with all these good teams. All they have to do for me is beat a good team, and then they'll get some respect. Now, they only lost one game out of conference, so that's pretty good for them, I guess. So I have them as my next 8 seed. For my last 8 seed, I'm going to go with Kentucky Wildcats. They had a really good win today. Um, Obviously, they had a horrifically bad start to the year. They got DeMarcus Cousins tweeting about them, saying how trash they were. So obviously, that's not good. But SEC, right there again, middle of the pack, 14-7, similar record to everyone else right now, except for the Aggies. So interested to see how they can build off of this win against the Razorbacks today.
yeah.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, that is going to wrap up our first bracketology. I'm
Yeah,
definitely thinking
man.
we have to make this again.
We got it. This was fun.
This was one of the more favorite streams I've done.
Yeah,
So,
man.
I was thinking too that later this week, if you're up for it, we're gonna do contenders versus pretenders for March Madness.
Absolutely. Completely
We're
agree.
top 25 teams. We're gonna rank all of them contenders and pretenders. So we're gonna try and get content up on shorts too, but
Yeah, absolutely.
and the Super Bowl. We can't forget about the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
So
Super Bowl. I mean, I think we should. I think
just do
tomorrow maybe we could.
an hour like analogy, just deep diving into every single aspect. Just player by player matchup.
Yeah, yeah, fair. That would be hype.
Just like
Um,
Marcus Jones on Rashid Shaheen, like a matchup on that.
yeah, that would be hilarious. I think tomorrow we could potentially do reaction on the conference championship games because like we didn't do that. Because sorry about that, chat. I was kind of sick, so I couldn't really talk very much this week. So that's my
Yeah,
bad. But
definitely.
I think we could do a little bit of recapping and do some previewing. Do you think we should do prediction for the Super Bowl on Sunday, or should we do it on Saturday?
Mm, yeah, we gotta do it on Saturday.
Do it on the Saturday. Okay. I was also thinking, okay, here's a big plan. So
Okay.
the NBA trade deadline is Thursday. So my plan is I'm gonna stream from like 12 to 2. The deadline's at like 3 or something, but I have like school again at 2. So I was thinking we stream from 12 to 2 and just announce every single trade that's happening live.
When is that?
Unless
Thursday? When's that
Thursday from
Thursday?
like 12 to 2. Yeah, I can
I
start it if
have
you're still in school and then I'll send you the invite and
yeah,
then
yeah.
yeah.
I'll probably still be in
Chad
school,
says,
so
do we think Giannis is getting traded? Yes, Giannis is getting traded to the Warriors on Thursday, hopefully. Hopefully we'll get that live on reaction. If Giannis gets traded before Thursday, then I probably won't really care as much. So then we might not. But if Giannis doesn't get traded before 12 on Thursday, we'll be going live for about 2 hours, getting ready and just breaking all the news that's going
yeah.
on.
Who
Um,
even else could get traded potentially? Like
I'm seeing,
Keon
um,
Ellis. I heard Keon
yeah,
Ellis was getting
Jordan
traded.
Poole's in the mix, even though he's kind of trash.
I mean, he's always in the mix for getting traded at the
I'm
deadline,
seeing
bro.
Tyler Hero, um, Julius Randle.
Julius Randle.
Um, yeah, it's going to be an interesting one because I feel like there's going to be some guys that get traded that we didn't really see coming. But I'm excited for it.
Yep. All right, that's all we got for you boys. We'll be back at it this week. Sorry for the lack of content, but trying to be consistent. 200 subs before the Super Bowl. We got to make it
We got
happen.
a week.
It's
We got a
we got
week,
to leave
boys. We got a week. Dude, I we got to pump out shorts like at least once a day because
once a day.
that's how we rack up subs.
That's fair. That's fair. All right. Anyways, we'll catch you boys tomorrow for our Super Bowl preview. First, a couple of a couple videos. So catch you guys tomorrow. Peace out.
Peace out.